Yes.
I don't want you over there.
I want to come over there.
No,
Anybody else?
no.
So what's the total vote count now, Mike?
We're at 60.
60. Okay. So we do have a quorum now. We can go ahead and get started. So I'll call this POA meeting dated 6/21/2025 to order. Start with a roll call of officers. Mike Riley.
Here.
Casey Easted.
Here.
Brandon Edgar. Here. Jack Musgrove. Here. And William Rosenbaugh. All the board members are present. Like I said, we do have a quorum of 60 members. So we can go ahead and get started. We have a reading of the minutes from the last POA meeting.
I'll motion to not reading since they're posted.
All right, so we got
Seconded.
a motion and a second. All in favor, we can just do a raise of hands on this. Anybody opposed? All right, so we'll go ahead and waive the reading of the minutes from the previous POA meeting, go straight into treasurer's report.
Good. As of today, in the general fund, we have $180,583.00. In the road fund, we have $19,334.79. This month, at this point, we still have days left, we've collected $10,560.41 in dues. Of that, $7,147.69 is of back dues, late fees, liens. The total of the year is $77,508.88. Of that, $19,485.02 is of back dues, late fees, liens, releases that we have collected. So we've been pretty good this year about getting some back dues caught up. And at this time, I know from the county tax auction sale, I've talked to, I said 3, 4, 5 people about it that bought some, and they've already came to me. As soon as they get their deeds signed by the county, they're going to come pay theirs, and that's anywhere from 8 to 10 grand worth of just those ones that said for sure, like as soon as they get it, they're going to come pay. And given I know those people, they will. So we've been dues so far this year doing pretty well. At this point, operating expenses for the month are $3,291. While that sounds a little high for this month, $1,453 is one of our insurances. So the general bit just for our general expenses is pretty maintained, being at this point in the year it's $19,168. There is an important thing to bring up on actually our general expenses. Trash service, we are currently with OPC. OPC sent us a notice and told us bye. They are selling their business and shutting down. We are currently paying $900 a month for the trash cans. This is not good news. Just simply because last year they rose by $100.
What exactly are we getting for $900?
What are we getting for $900? Is there 5 6-yard dumpsters picked up twice a week? And then they charge us an extra $350 3 times a year: Memorial Day, 4th of July weekend, and Labor Day, where they bring the big haul off.
Three big weekends.
Yeah, and they charge us an extra like $350 or $400. Given that's happened, July 2nd is their last day.
July 2nd.
I know, absolutely the worst possible weekend to do that to us. We've already, Bill's Trash Service knew about it because they knew they sold. They already stopped in and talked to me. I've got the quote up at the store. They said it's going to be like $1,600 or $1,650 a month. They'll still pick up twice a week. Well, that is a lot, especially that's a $750 increase in what we're paying. Last year, OPC went up $100, and we didn't really like it, and we mentioned it. I know 2 of the board members called other companies last year, and I think the cheapest we got quoted last year was $2,000 a month. So it's kind of sound like kind of hands tied on the Bill's trash doing it. We can try quickly, but we don't have much time.
The only other company I know of is Sue's. Have we heard anything from them?
Sue's was one of the ones,
Last year.
was one of the ones we looked at
2000.
last year that was up over $2,000.
Then just to cut to the mustard, motion to accept a bill.
I got a question first.
Go ahead.
So are we getting into a contract with them for like a year, or for
Nope.
2 years, or?
Zero contract.
I did. We should just be able to do it.
I did ask them, because I was like, I even asked them, I'm like, look, I gotta take this to the rest of the board. Is that on a year contract? And he kind of goes, that's no contract. He goes, if you want to cancel us, you can cancel us. And I was like, okay. I'm like, can we sign a longer contract if the members approve it for a discount? And he's like, no, we don't do the contracts. And I was like, good to know. So yeah, if we happen to find someone strikes gold and finds someone exponentially cheaper, because even OPC offered to sell us those dumpsters to us so we could own them outright for like $250 a piece. I was like, well, what's that do for us? So I even asked Bill, and I'm like, if we own those cans, would it make it cheaper? They're like, no, we're coming out, same price.
And I'm just, like I said, to cut through it, motion to move over to bills at 16, exactly what was it?
$16.50 a month.
$16.50 a month.
Second.
Anybody got any discussion?
Please bring forth any discussion or any disagreements or anything, people.
I second the motion.
So we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay.
Anybody have any other ideas? Nothing?
Okay, go to the vote.
How much would it cost if they could, like, just maybe a couple to catch all of the weekenders that come in that aren't here full time, and then they have like what we
So,
got with,
I
where
talk-
it's the $27 a month, where we
That-
just paid for everybody to have their home.
Well, if you went alone off of what the water company has in water taps, is what, 350 they said?
Yeah.
You need 27 times 350 for a month. That would, so 27 times
So-
10 is
so-
270, so 2,700 times 3. I mean, you're talking about well north of 1,650 to try to do that.
Okay. Mine
Yeah,
was just-
and I talked to him before and tried to explain him, I mean, this is like way before, tried to explain to him that, look, you're not gonna be picking up everybody's house every time, but, what would it be to, and he said, I mean, he basically has to put one in every house, and he has to bank on that he's gonna pick up every one, so it's $27.
Is it too late to modify my motion?
Go ahead and vote on it.
Motion to accept the $16.50 for bills until if they decide to increase prices up to $2,100, and then we seek other companies like Sue's with their 2,000.
Well, they were over to it.
Okay. All right.
Is- is-
Well, 20 or do we even want to set a limit?
Man,
We need to make sure the trash bins that they are gonna bring will be the same size.
I did that. The price they gave is for this exact what we have, 5-6 yards. Because we even talked, me and him talked about it in the chance of, he wanted to know, he goes, is there a chance you have 6 yarders? He goes, we have 8 yarders. And I'm like, I get what 2 yards, but for a dumpster, how much more trash is that? He goes, it's a lot more. Because he was even looking at maybe trying to do 5 8-yard dumpsters and only pick up once a week. Because he was going to try to make a deal on if he picked up once a week instead of twice. And I was like, the only issue is the ones we have now. Every Friday, they are filling over the top, even during the winter when you don't have as many people. And every Monday, they're pretty full. I'm like, so, they're full all the time. So he goes, okay, then I don't think it would be worth doing 8-yarders. He goes, because then you guys have trash on the ground, which means either they're going to have to pick it up, or we're going to have to, or have to charge because of it. And they would have the general same, basically, all the rules we have posted about big stuff would be the same rules as we currently have.
Is there anything different as far, like anything majorly different other than the cost?
what about the holiday dumpsters?
Holiday dumpsters we talked, and he said he goes, no, we can do that, we can bring another one.
Okay.
And in fact, he didn't say he was gonna charge more, but we can clarify it before we agree. He also did talk about maybe every 3 months bringing out just a big roll-off dumpster for people to be able to do throw away the big trash. Because it's the same thing, you're not supposed to be throwing away used couches and pieces of furniture. So he goes, we have those and we can do that every like 3 months, so it helps reduce people throwing it in our regular dumpsters. He goes, so that might be something we could do. He didn't mention charging for more for that, but I wouldn't hold it if he did.
Galvanized collars that are ending up on the side of the road, we gotta replace ours. So how do you go about getting rid of that? Can you cut it up yourself and dump it in there, roll
The
back?
what?
The culvert.
Galvanized culverts,
Oh, no,
Yeah, no metal.
you cannot put in metal like that into those.
then roll back.
Now, there is a person in
Now,
the
the big-
harbor
no,
that
no.
collects that metal.
You're talking about the big roll-offs, if they do those every 3 months, yes. Those ones can take metal, because you can throw appliances in those.
Okay.
He's talking about every, like, if they did every 3 months
But
roll-offs.
there's scrappers here in the.
Yeah.
There's scrappers, there's,
There's a guy everyone in the harbor uses, and he comes and takes it and hauls it off.
How many yards is the roll-off?
I honestly don't know off the top of my head, but I mean, they're at least double what these are, so
So
they're 12 to 18.
I think they're 12 or 18 yards
we did
for the holiday ones.
one roll-off instead of the 5 dumpsters, do one roll-off that they pick up once or twice a week. I mean, would that be,
I mean, I can ask
we
and
could, we
see.
could work the numbers to see if that would be a cheaper.
It's not a horrible idea. I can call him back and ask.
See if we can get,
Instead of doing 5, 6 yards, you're talking about doing like 1 or 2 just big roll-offs and what it'd be a week.
and I agree with everything, trying to find the best deal that's gonna work for us. But this is something we kinda have to act on.
Right.
However, it needs to be worded, whether it's like, I wanna keep it above board, but I wanna be able to be actionable.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
well, so what, we got 5, 6 yards, that's 30 yards every 2 days, twice a week. So we're getting 60 yards of trash hauled off a week. Then you're talking about, even if those were 20 foot, we'd have to have 3 of them. So, I mean, if they're under 1,600 for 3 of those, it'd be worth it. Yeah, so I'll check. Is everyone good if like 3 of those big ones is cheaper than the 5, 6 yarders? Everyone good with that?
Does everybody have the confidence to hand over to Brandon to handle this? I guess that's the.
Business expense, right?
so
Yeah, it's technically my job. It's treasurer. I don't, like,
and we're required by bylaws to provide trash service, so.
and this is one of those things, I even tell people at the store, and some of you heard this from me. This is the type of thing, we don't have to have approval, but we want you guys to be a part of these choices. So you don't feel like we're just spending money without your opinions. So like, while this is my responsibility, because this is a financial burden, this is something, we want you guys to understand. Y'all have an option in this.
Did you find out who they sold out to?
I think they just completely, whoever they sold is gone.
Or
Like,
they're just
went
gone?
out of business.
Yeah.
I think they just liquidated.
Yeah, because
Liquidated.
they even offered us to, if we wanted to buy the dumpsters, which to me, that directly tells me they didn't sell to anyone directly.
Yeah.
All right. Any more discussion?
Nope.
All right, so we'll move forward with trying to get something, and we'll be open with everybody on, what the decision is and what we're getting, and it'll be at least what service we have now, so that, regular trash pickup twice a week, 3 holiday dumpsters, none of that will change. Still provide the same service, but we'll see what we can work as far as, any deals we can get or.
Yeah, I'll check.
All right, so.
But while that did kind of hit the middle of the treasure report, that was the end of it anyway. Like I said, we're positive 44,000 on the year at this point. Except we have 180,000 in here. Yes, sir.
What's the current dues collection for this year? How much?
$77,508.
This is dues this year.
Oh, yes. 53,521 and 88 cents.
How much should be there?
I don't know that off the top of my head. I don't
Around
lie.
80,000.
I don't know that off the top of my head, but I think it's around 90,000.
We're running about 60% under, so.
Yeah. And usually there's quite a few that don't get paid till, we always still get more through October, November. But like I said, we're 19,000 in back dues at this point collected this year is higher than last year at this point. I think it was 22 the last time we got that much almost. I think they got a little more for the whole year. Like I said, I know there's another 10,000 coming in back dues.
Seems like it might be unsustainable to
I mean,
Depends on if you can keep getting.
depends on
back
what you,
dues.
depends on what you're doing. I mean, at this point, we were positive. Last year, we basically broke even.
Do you mind if I jump in?
I mean, but,
Yep.
I mean, at this point, we never fell, dude, last year, we never fell under 100,000 in the bank. We won't fall under 100,000 this year. So unfortunately, I mean, even if we're breaking even, we're not going into the negative, we're not losing money each year. Like I said, last year was pretty much a break even. But
I
we
understand.
had, and we had $15,000 in extra unexpected
But
expenses
every
last
year,
year.
if you keep on being 50, 60, 45, at some point,
That's it. We
Not
did
gonna break.
75,000 last year, and we're on that pace again this year.
okay.
Did you get the interest on the back dues?
Well,
Did you get the interest on the back dues?
yes, that's where I said, and late fees, it's also, that's your interest.
I'm assuming kind of we're, like I said, just assuming, you're pushing towards, in the same vein of what you're talking about, I agree with you, relying on back dues for consistent income is not sustainable.
And I explained
We've talked about that multiple
many times, even when I did my, the plan for this year, the budget plan for this year, last year when I gave it in July, I only planned for 7,000 max dues because I repeatedly told everyone, it's not a good business plan to count on getting X amount from back dues every year. And even I said, I expect us to get over 7,000 because we have every year for the last 4 or 5 years, but it's not good to plan on, so I plan less. So fortunately, we're exponentially over that. But I agree, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, costs are going up. You get
What
more
was
dumpster
my
charges
assumption?
now, the water's going up too, substantially.
Was my assumption correct on that's where your concern was kind of
Yeah, it's
based
understandable.
on? Can you bring that up in the public, in the
What
new?
you guys have.
Would you mind bringing that forth whenever?
Yep.
Any other
Accept the treasurer's
questions
report.
on treasurer's report? All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report as printed.
I'll make a motion.
Motion, got a second? Got a second, all in favor? And anybody opposed? All right, so we'll accept the treasurer's report as printed. And now move on to pool. So pool, basically open from daylight to dark. We ordered a keyless entry for it. There was some confusion on whether, on their end, whether we actually wanted to order it, not order it, so they ended up canceling the order. It got reordered. So we're waiting on that keyless entry. And once we get that, we'll get it installed. So basically what's happening now is I've got myself and three volunteers that are working the pool, checking chemicals on a regular basis, locking the gate at night, unlocking the gate in the morning, putting the cleaner in, doing all that stuff. So Steve Hall's one of them, Sherry McCaslin, Mary Cook, appreciate all their help. And once we get that keyless entry in, we just won't have to lock the gate or anything, but those people will still help with pool stuff. Becky?
I was just gonna ask, it's like, so at the moment, I understand you unlock it in the day, morning, and then you lock it again in the evening. I know there's nobody there to man who comes in, who doesn't, who takes showers, who doesn't, all that kind of good stuff about bringing stuff in from the lake and getting into the pool and all that. Is there any way that that's gonna be monitored even when we have the keyless lock?
I mean, we don't have the same Board of Health requirement that we were under before. So, I mean, I've preached to everybody, if you have something that's been in the lake, you gotta wash it before you put it in there, you have to shower before you go to the pool. I mean, it's really hard to enforce that unless you have a volunteer that sits up there at that pool 24/7 when it's open, and
I can touch
we
on
just
that
don't have
too.
those people.
Another thing we kind of breezed over earlier, where I was talking about having an office person, and I'll just bring it up on the new business thing. But if we have an office person that we're paying to be up there for 20 or 30 hours a week, there's no problem with them, since they're right there being able to
Right,
check
so you-
that too. So I'll bring that up with the new
Yeah,
business
but you
thing.
cover it for 20 or 30 hours a week, and that's it. The pool's open.
All day.
Well,
all day.
all the more, it's more than what we got.
Who's cleaning it?
The pool's closed on Mondays, so we shop it on Sunday night, and then vacuum goes in every night. We have the robot vacuum, goes in every night.
So how is the keyless thing going to work whenever you do get it in?
Basically, through Appfolio, we'll give everybody the code for, that has their dues paid. We'll get the code, and then basically type the code in and go in.
Basically.
It's-
Every year,
It's going to
you
be
can change.
emailed to the people who have paid
No.
or
It's,
what?
it's a simple thing, instead of putting, your board members are volunteers, they're busy, they don't have time to micromanage, and it's a thing that it's simple, if you change, put a code on it. If someone wants to use it, send a message to Folio, give a call, go, okay, look, your dues paid, yep, here's the code, don't share it, thank you. If you share it with someone, you find out that doesn't have dues, we'll take it away. Every January, you change the code, same thing repeat.
Or if you run into issues, you can change the code.
Yeah, you can
change the code. in-
So if
in-
you run an issue, you have to ban someone, you can change
If
it.
somebody violates, we can also
Yeah.
send fines.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you have any particular concerns that, like, you like, anything specific you might want to address here? It's, I mean, I'm
The
just
reason
trying to
why I
get
was
a list.
asking, I was just asking, like, I know we have people that come in from outside the community that uses the boat ramp and everything like that, comes up, uses our restroom.
Containment of amenities towards
Just
members in good standing of dues.
Right, so that's why, they have all these years, somebody there to check to just make members only type thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, it's hard to police without somebody actually sitting there, being there, but who do we have who wants to sit down there and spend their whole summer sitting at the pool checking people in? Nobody's volunteered to do that. The people that did volunteer to do it are burnt out. They don't want to deal with it anymore. It's just, it's a difficult task to ask somebody to give up their whole summer to sit down there and check people in at the pool. Yeah, no, I know. That's the facts of it. Hopefully people will, once we get the keypad in, if your dues are paid, you'll have the code. Don't give the code out to somebody. Police ourselves. If you know somebody that doesn't have their dues paid, don't give them the code so they can use it.
When is this code machine gonna arrive?
I guess it's on back order. We had ordered it before, and then they sent an email, I guess, questioning if
When
that's
did
what
you
we
order
wanted. I'm sorry?
When did you order it?
I ordered it last month,
Why'd you wait so long?
because it's when we clarify it, because members don't show up to meetings, so we don't do things without that. But we had to make a decision since members don't show up. So we ordered it when we decided to do it. When I got it ordered, they sent an email, and I said, yes, we do want these. I put the order in it, I put my payment in there. Then I guess they sent an email and said, oh, we're going to have to answer a call. I'm busy during that time when they're gone. I told them, I can't answer a phone. Here's my email telling you I want this part. I ordered it. They ended up, just put it on hold, didn't do anything, didn't try to call me again. And then, so I'm like, okay, it's coming. Nope. Then I got an email, it got canceled, so I've had to reorder it now. That's a process. The company had weird rules. I can't help that.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah, go ahead, Karen.
So, Brandon, I just want to make sure I understand that you're going to have the people contact the board or through Appfolio to request that,
Yeah, either
because,
way.
we don't use the pool, so I don't want to be liable for,
Yeah, like I said, that's why I said instead of taking
And I
time
think
to.
it would, if you only got like 20 or 30 families that are using it, then that would narrow the possibility of the codes getting leaked out. Because
Right.
it would be a lot easier
Yep.
instead of doing it.
Instead of mass sending.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't send me one. I don't want one.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I'll never use the pool either.
Yeah, so.
Members continue to vote on it to keep it, so that's our duty to keep it going.
Any other pool concerns? We'll move on to roads. Try to get through this agenda stuff real quick so you turn the floor over to you guys. Roads with Jeff.
I don't have a whole lot. I think everybody knows we got quite a bit of rain. A lot of the roads are, need a little regrading, and I started on them before the rain started, and lesson learned, wait till about July. before we start bringing in rock. But anyway, I'm gonna try to rent the equipment one more time, do some smoothing. I got a couple roads, I'm going to talk to the county because they're beyond our capabilities whatsoever to repair and see if we can get something done. They've come out and worked some roads, done some good jobs. They've made some drainage cuts. And if they can keep doing that here and there, a little bit at a time, they're not supposed to, but I'll take what they can give us. But just bear with us and we'll get through it. And we just, we don't have a whole lot of money on the roads. I know I bought a few loads and smoothed out some other ones, but we just don't bring enough in. Every road out there can take 6, 7 loads on them, but we don't bring enough in. We don't have the equipment to take care of it. Every time I rent, it's $1,000, just bam. And that takes money out away from the rock and stuff like that. So we just kind of spread it out and we'll be getting on it. Just bear with me. If you got some bad problems, you can't get them out, just let me know. And Steve's hit me up about a place over there we're gonna work on and see if we can get it fixed. We'll do what we can. Go ahead. Yeah.
I vote not to have any more gravel dumped on Rifle Barrel for a while
That's
until we
one of
can
them.
figure out the drains situation.
And that's, I'm glad you brought it up, because everywhere there's a washout is because somebody doesn't have a culvert, they don't have a drainage ditch.
I think the problem on Rifle Barrel actually stems from on Forest, and it's open on one end, but not open on the other.
Yeah, and that's what this culvert out here was supposed to go for, out here on Forest and Rifle Barrel. Is that where you're talking?
I don't mean to interrupt. The only thing, before we start throwing motions out, the only thing is be careful of our wording, because if we word ourselves into a corner, we won't be able to work on right.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
That's all.
just saying, I would request that no gravel be bought right now for Rifle Barrel, because it was put on and I think immediately the next
Washed
night
off,
washed
yeah.
out.
Yes, ma'am.
And where it's put on is, it's my house right there. I don't even use that driveway. We use Flint Rock. Nobody else is traveling that stretch of road, really.
Yeah.
Just
And-
leave it. You know what I mean?
Going down that hills where, and down to the bottom is, but that's one of the roads we've got to work on. And like I said, if people, and some people in Rifle Barrel, I don't know who did, they dug ditches down on Rimrock. Whoever's down, they did a beautiful bit of job just down past the water company.
Yeah.
And they've been several, Crestview, all of them, and we really appreciate it. That helps us a lot. So, anyway, do you have a question, Jesse?
I did call the county yesterday about the boat ramp, and
Okay.
they said they would be working on it this next week.
Thank you.
I put out the bat signal today to Core, so thank you.
Yeah, anything, and just talking to them politely and stuff, them guys probably been bending over backwards. They've been several people call them, because I'll ask him, I said, what y'all doing over here? And he goes, well, somebody had a problem, they couldn't get in, and they came out and hit the road. So, appreciate it.
Any other questions, comments, concerns on roads? All right, so we'll move on to security.
Security, not a whole lot. There was some people shooting on core land that really upset folk. More or less everything's legal at the end of the day, unless they're doing it at night, and that's a whole nother thing. The sheriff will get involved. I encourage neighborhood public shaming, truthfully. I don't care. Tell them they're being dirtbags and keeping you up at night, and you gotta go to work in the morning. Get to know your neighbors. Be comfortable calling them dirtbags, and still have lunch with them. No more for security unless there's anything else.
Question, security?
No, sorry, there was one more thing, sorry. There are reports of a peeping Tom. Please keep your eyes out. If somebody's acting goofy, call me, call Don, call Butch, call the sheriff, call somebody. But, the report was on Fox Hill, so.
Call security first.
Say again, sir?
Who are they and where's it happening?
I can't really, I don't want to get into disclosing all of that. We're getting into personal information there. So I'm just going to kind of leave that as it is.
What time of night did that happen?
I believe it was fairly early in the evening, Dawn?
10:30.
Yeah, so, I mean, could have just been a weirdo trying to transverse the neighborhood, could have been a pervert, who knows? But, like I said, get to know your neighbors, keep an eye out for each other. Anything else, Jay?
So on security, we'll move on to architectural control.
For architecture, if you guys have any new neighbors move in, please let them know that they need to fill out forms and get permission to bring stuff in if you can, just to help speed the process and just make things smoother. Other than that, I've got a committee started. I'm going to resend out the text because some of the people didn't get it, but if anybody else wants to join on the architectural violation committee, and basically what you would just be doing is if you see something in the neighborhood that looks like it's a bylaw violation that you want to submit, you'll be in a group text and you'll be able to do that, and then we'll be sending that over to get violations sent out to try to get this place a little cleaner than it is right now. That's all I have.
And those documentation, if you're on that committee, documentation, take pictures, you know, get the evidence, because if it does turn into a court case at some point, our ducks are in a row, and you got evidence that.
I'll send out
all
all
what
that.
we did.
I'll send out all the rules and stuff on the group text and everything too, and then follow up with that too.
All right. Is that all we got on our architectural control?
Does anybody have any questions or concerns? You can meet me after the meeting or any time before you leave and just get, if you want to be on that committee too.
All right, so we'll move on stuff that was on old business. The last POA meeting, we talked about redoing the sign at the entrance. We've got some kind of ideas of fireworks, what the signs could be. We kind of want to get some input from you guys, so we'll pass around.
I made 5 different ones here for you guys to vote on, and then we can make that one.
Yeah,
The sign not drag on anymore.
Yeah.
No, let's try and get a vote on which sign we want.
Yeah,
and
so I'm
let's
gonna
get it
pass
done.
this to each person, and you can put your name on the one that you want and put how many votes that you guys have too, right next to it, and then I'll double check that at the end of the meeting, we'll have a decision.
Send a pin with you. If you don't got one, I got an extra.
Okay, yeah, I'll send it.
Okay.
I'll send you my pen, so please don't take it.
I got an extra. I can afford to lose it if you don't want to lose yours.
Is the floor open?
And then we'll move on to old business.
I'm sorry, I got a question right now on this. Looking at, none of these say anything that we're under covenant restrictions?
Yeah, we're not trying to go for that. Like, if you look at any of the neighborhood signs around the whole lake, nobody's saying anything like that they're all under covenant restrictions. Every neighborhood's the same. If you look at any neighborhood that you guys live in the city or anything like that, they just have a neighborhood. They don't have a bunch of rules or regulations on them. And we're trying to go for the same kind of look. It'll just look more like a neighborhood instead of like a militant, like.
I was just wondering,
So-
because it makes it harder to go through the legal system on foreclosures and things like that if they haven't been.
Actually, they're legally bound if they sign the deed.
Okay.
The second you sign a deed, zoning laws, deed laws.
And you could even add something to that of, Lake Kinkill Harbor, a POA community.
We can change the name to where it's not fully representation of us.
Yeah, there might be
Wouldn't
some
that
minor
sound-
alterations to those signs, I think one of them, it says 2024, that's obviously not gonna be on there, but just for all extensive purposes, if you look at the sign, it'll essentially be like that. A lot of them are shaped like badges. Those ones would probably be with 2 fence posts with the badge thing hanging from some chains in between it or something like that, and if it's just a square sign, it'd just be a square sign.
Like I said, and if anybody's got, it wouldn't be hard to add just a simple a POA community, and just leave that, if that's a concern from you guys.
And it will be, I've volunteered to make the sign and do that myself. So the neighborhood will be paying for the materials, but we'd be getting that for a lot less than if we paid somebody else to do it. And it's just gonna make those neighborhoods look a lot better than what we've got currently.
Mike's
And
gonna
also-
embezzle
also-
that money.
Also, and I don't want nothing to do with any of that, but also, if you look at the signs we do have, that was another thing that I wanted to bring up. We've got a lot up there with the guard shack on it, and it's got a sign right there. Most of the signs that you see for neighborhoods, if you drive around the lake, they're all out there in the easement, right there on Indian Road, or right there on Highway 100. If you're on the other side, they're not like tucked into the community. And I was gonna motion that we take that down and we just sell that lot. Like, why do we even need that there? That other one, the other sign that's like back in there with the guard shack that we're not using or doing anything with, we could just sell that whole lot. Take that money.
Like for public auction, like silent auction here?
Yeah, well, no, we do live auctions now, but yeah.
Live auction, or whatever mechanism.
Yeah.
Is that, are you putting forth that motion?
Yeah, I'm motioning that we do that.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to sell the lot that.
I guess we don't have a quorum though.
Yeah, I thought we did.
I thought we did.
Yeah, we do now. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So we can't have this meeting if we didn't have a quorum. So there's a motion on the floor to take the security lot up there where the security shack is, the sign, all that stuff, and just liquidate it, sell it.
I'm willing to second that, but I want to hear some arguments against it right quick.
Okay,
Does
so
anybody got anything?
we do have a second, so that means the floor is open for
Terrible
discussion.
idea, good idea, that's,
The only thing I would say on it is, it's not horrible to sell it, you just get some money for it, but those lots are so tilted, you're not gonna get $500 probably out of them. The one thing you can do with it is, and I agree with Mike, putting a sign out on Indian Road, like he's saying, like across from the store out there, because it also lets people see it better. But you can also always use that other sign or even the guard shack, and you can just, guard shack's a big structure. You can use that and cover it up the wall you can then do a sign with some rules, or here's how to contact your board or something. That'd be the only advantage of it having there too. That'd be my only thing. Just so you can have one sign that shows the Gritty neighborhood entrance, one that has contact and such.
So you're planning on tearing down the old one?
Yes.
Just tear it down,
Yes.
sell it as a television or something.
It has the wrong name, it has the wrong website and the wrong phone number on it. And
Yeah,
I would motion that if we could anyways, or I don't know, sorry, if we put all those regulations or whatever up at the pool, and that way, because I mean, if you drive in any neighborhood, you don't see anything like that going on, and it kind of sets the wrong tone, I think.
Yeah, really, I think the whole thing, I mean, the security shack was used at one time, but now it's just like a deterrent. People that drive in, it's like, oh, I got security.
hey, just tip shot, Mike, in your opinion, do we got enough real estate there to put up a big enough sign, to put up a billboard, to where maybe we could rent it out to people and make some money off of it? $40 a month or something.
No, that's not.
I got you, okay, never mind,
Not my thing.
never mind, don't worry about it.
I have no idea, you could.
Pam, go ahead.
No, it's just, I don't know.
If someone is such a small lot and they put like a travel trailer, that makes a really ugly entrance, rather than just having the guard shacks that kind of looks like.
I agree, I agree.
And have it
That's
look
true.
very bad out there, yeah. The guard shack makes it look decent and.
One suggestion,
guard,
if we-
we used to maintain it, we tried to go over it a couple of times still and they got, you know, so. You're not gonna make much money off how bad.
Off that lot, yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
if we kept that lot there and we could put a sign in there, I think a map of the
A map
area
of the harbor.
would be an ideal thing for people.
Okay,
I'd be for that too.
I can do that.
That's pretty cool.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
It could be graphic, it could be,
They're-
you know, something like, well, that little lake sign that someone stuck over here, be something like that, and then a general map of the whole area.
I smell where you're starting, and I like it. I like it. I get behind that.
Keith?
Or put a QR code on there that they came with their phone and it'll bring up the map on their
Look
phone.
at you, city slicker.
Technology.
Okay, I
You're too old to know.
So, any other discussion on that?
So, just for my dumb clarification, you're putting, the motion is we are going to install a sign based off what the people vote on. we're now installing 2 signs. We're gonna cover up the guard shack.
So the sign out at the street is already voted on. We're just deciding which one it's gonna be, and we're letting them be involved in that.
Okay.
And then we're trying to figure out if we wanna do something with that other lot.
Right, the motion-
I'm up for whatever.
The motion on the floor is to sell that lot, so we do have to address it, we have to take a vote
The
on it.
motion was done, so you have to vote.
Right, so all in favor of selling that security lot up front, raise your plates.
Those opposed?
Zero. All opposed, raise your plates.
I think that wins.
And we will not sell that lot. Yeah.
Is there,
Do we need to, or do we want to go ahead and put forth the motion? Go ahead, sorry.
is there still electricity there?
Yes.
Are we, so we're paying for electricity there?
Oh, no, that gets cut off.
It has access, but it's.
I don't, yeah, I don't think there was a meter on, but there is electricity at that site.
All right.
Yes, Becky?
Becky?
So whenever Kevin Clifton was president and I was on the board at that time, it was a vote put out for the members, and the members voted not to get rid of that because of the guard shack for security purpose looking, you know, like we have security.
Yeah, it's
there.
a deterrent.
And then the other thing that you were talking about is we had the electricity cut off from that, so that we wouldn't have to re-electric them, because
Right.
right now we still have 2.
Yeah, there's access to it, but it's turned off.
Thanks for that clarification. Sir?
I was gonna say, if you gotta leave the shack there, you gotta make it look like it's being used.
So we get a mannequin sitting in there.
Or at the very least, it can't, something to like, hey, you're under watch. I got you, bro. I got you.
Who's got a Sasquatch dog?
Bigfoot, yeah.
There's
Cobwebs and trees laying on it.
There's a lot of businesses that will park an old security car out in front of their business, and there's nobody in it, and they move it to the back of the lot when they're closed, or when they're open, and when they're closed, they move it to the front of the lot.
I'll put a motion
That's
for
their
it.
turn.
I'll motion that we actually basically, you know, paint it, get a little mannequin of some sort and pretty it up.
Second of,
Maybe we get one.
yeah, pull up the security shack.
Maybe we get Tony to paint
A
one that
second.
look like Don. Sit up there.
Motion and second, any discussion?
All right, so we got a motion and a second to clean up that lot, that security shack.
That's gonna include taking down the other sign, the old sign, obviously, right?
No, that wasn't part of that motion. That's a different motion.
Okay.
It's not on the same lot, actually, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think they're 2 different lots. Okay.
Any discussion on fixing up that guard shack a little bit, making it, dressing it up a little bit, make it look pretty?
I think it's a good idea.
All right, go ahead and take a vote. So all in favor, raise your plates.
Any opposed?
Any opposed? We got 4, 5, 6.
Opposed?
Oh,
Yeah.
No,
No,
just,
not opposed, okay.
Nobody opposed?
Are you opposed or are you for?
she's
All the way back, okay. All right, so that will pass as well, so we are now.
Okay, I'm motioning that we take that other sign down too.
I'll second that.
Which other sign?
All right, so we got
The one that's on the inside of the neighborhood, the giant one with all the rules all over it.
it's like a lot.
they have the wrong website, the wrong phone number, and the.
I'll second that motion.
So there's a second, so all in favor of removing that sign? All opposed? And that sign will be removed.
Outstanding.
This is what happens when we have a quorum, we can do business. Heck yes. All right, so, moving on. Yeah, we still got a couple old business. All right, so, 2, 3, 4 POA meetings ago, there was discussion that we never had a quorum to actually have a discussion and make a decision on, was like people using the community center for a public event, everybody's invited to. Should it be that person who's putting on that event's responsibility to check delinquency at the door? It was brought up. I think there was some dance class, something going on. Somebody attended that didn't have their dues paid. There was some concern brought up about that. So
Can I chime in?
if anybody, yeah, well, I'll open the floor here in a second. So basically, what we need to talk about is if somebody puts on a public event, everybody's invited to, should they be required to check for delinquency of the people who attend that event. So I'm talking, if you have a dance class, if you have a pancake breakfast, if you have a cookout, if you have a get-together, anything that the public is invited to up here that you're putting on, should you be required to check everybody coming through the door, Halloween, Christmas, everything?
No.
Everybody should be paid up on their dues to be able to attend. Floor is open for discussion. Casey, stand at the mic.
I recommend we send this off to the lawyer to see exactly what our language says and go off of that.
Our language says that you have to be a dues-paying member to use the amenities.
You're not a lawyer.
I'm just, that's the way to dues. Any other discussion, ma'am?
Is there not some way we can also just reinforce it by putting a sign right out here by the door? Or something about dues, all dues?
Yeah, I mean, we can put signage up that, for dues paid members only, but who's gonna police that?
Ma'am, I'm going to dive in just a little detail for you. What's going on here is there's a little bit of contention on, in our bylaws, there's guests allowed to abstaining due members, and there's been a bit of back and forth whether if somebody who is in the neighborhood who is not upstanding, or whatever the proper word is, but isn't up on their dues, are they considered a guest? In the very and it's just real highly contentious, highly. I understand how this can get underneath people's saddle. I don't see it being worth the time, our time, and that's why I jumped up there.
Keith?
And if people feel differently, jump up here, give your opinion.
If the party
But-
goes in the
Keith, go
party
ahead.
is in good standing, why does it matter who they have here?
Again, we get into morals and this and that and blah, 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 and yada, yada, and just to cut it off, my suggestion is to hand it off to the lawyer and let him lay down the law.
Fine.
They didn't get it over here or.
No,
you guys never got it?
No. So what it boils down to on this specific topic is that if somebody, right now, for this community center, you can rent this to use it for an event. What the last numerous of boards have done is if you were gonna hold an event, if the event, if anyone in the community is allowed to come to it, then we make you give us a $50 deposit. As long as you clean it up, we give you $50 back. But if you're holding a private event that not anyone random in the community can come to, that's just like you and your family or something, then it's the $50 and that's it. You don't get it back. That's a private event. There's no regulation on who you bring in because you paid for a private event. The issue became because someone was holding a public event. They paid the $50 deposit, they cleaned up so they got it back, but because they allowed anyone in here, there were members that did not pay their dues, so their dues weren't paid, but they were here. Because the bylaws say as long as your dues are paid, you can use amenities. If your dues are not paid, you're not supposed to use amenities. You can say, yes, this is technically an amenity, but this got into a debate because one specific person that their dues were paid was holding the event. Being at that point, that's why we take their $50 and we tell them, you're responsible for anything that happens. That's why they don't get the $50 deposit if they don't clean up. This became because they got their money back and nothing happened, but somebody that didn't have their dues paid. They argued when another member brought it up that, hey, I'm allowed to bring in guests. And even though the other person is a separate member, dues weren't paid, she said, well, that would be technically my guest. So I can bring them. So someone said, well, can another member be your guest if their dues aren't paid? Can that apply? That's where this boils down. Does that explain it better for everyone to understand? So that explains it. So the question is this brought up, and we have not been able to talk about it as a community because members have not been here for a valid quorum. Now it's up for you guys in a debate on what is right or wrong and what you want to be upheld. Given understanding, you have 5 board members that are always volunteers that don't receive a penny. Do not expect us to be up here monitoring people's events. That will not happen ever. So that means
it would be on the person. If I say, okay, I'm gonna cook hamburgers and hot dogs, the whole neighborhood's invited, come on up here. It would be on me to stand at that door and make sure that everybody walked through that door had their dues paid. Same as you, same as you, same
Right.
as you,
We
same as
did
you,
have
same as everybody. that's-
You would have to compare it to the delinquency list.
Here's,
I can't understand your.
You would have to compare it to the delinquency list.
Just
Or the
briefly, I
voting
sent my
list.
pen out. Can we get my pen back with the,
no, you lost your pen. Again, here's my thing. I think this is not at all worth what we're about to argue over. Like we're about to spend 20 minutes arguing over this. Is it really worth it? If it is, fine, bring it up, whatever.
This is your.
But, I mean, this is, in this board opinion, in this board member's opinion, it's not worth the time to get tripped up over. There's many more things we need to get on to.
Well,
Go ahead.
We all get a receipt.
Yes, ma'am? Yes, ma'am?
We all get a receipt when we pay our dues.
Yes, ma'am.
That they're paid up. So if somebody wants to have an event, they can bring the receipt and show it.
Yeah.
It's who's that onus on?
But that's gonna be on, but put as an example, you rent this, you paid us $50, but you said it's to open to anyone in the community. So we say, when it's over, as long as you clean, you're getting $50 back. Because you said it's open to anyone, so that's the big thing to understand.
That's all I'm saying.
But that means you're gonna have to stand there.
Do you want to be do you want to enjoy your time with your family and everything, or do you want to sit there and babysit and monitor the door? Is what this basically comes down to.
I think you're making
Yep.
a little bit more of a bigger deal.
Perhaps, yes, ma'am.
Okay, my opinion is, if this was just adults that we were dealing with, and maybe I can understand excluding people, but we're dealing with children, and we would be dealing with children at pancake breakfast, at hamburger, dinners, at Christmas and at Thanksgiving, and I don't,
You want to destroy Santa for that kid?
I don't think it.
Santa's not real.
I don't
No,
think-
your parents.
Well, I don't think it's real.
Can't pay, so get
the hell out of here. And that's the case, if we're dealing with adults, that's one thing, but we're dealing with families, and so for the sake of that, I guess, let them be guests at the rentals of other people.
Nobody's wrong.
And I'll just give my personal opinion. This is not as a board member, this is me as a, as a community member. My personal opinion is you put a lot into putting on an event. So like the social group, when they come in here and plan for Christmas, they plan for Halloween, they plan, all the stuff that they do. They're busy doing that, and then you're gonna put that extra on top of them. You're gonna start losing your social group.
Yep.
That's my opinion.
Yep, you're gonna destroy your
Whether it's worth
community.
anything, that's just where I sit, and I just wanted to speak my piece as a member. Becky, you had your hand up first.
So I think the whole thing started, and I think I can tap loud enough without having a microphone, but the whole thing started because of the dance
Correct.
coming in, when having somebody coming in and putting on, and they didn't have their dues paid, and that was what the whole conversation came about. It was not brought up about social group having their thing, because they don't have to rent the community center, or whatever. It was individuals who are just a member in here that's going to do an event. That was what it was all brought up about. It had nothing to do with the kids, it had nothing to do with pancakes, Santa, none of that stuff.
The only
It was
thing that's
strictly
fair is if
adults.
you, while that's fair, they had kids in for the dance. They did allow kids to come in for that dance.
It was open to the public.
Totally. So the only thing is, if you're gonna nitpick one, you gotta nitpick two.
But it was
Unfortunately,
individual, it wasn't
Very-
a social group.
But here's, Becky, I'm gonna jump in here. You're 100% right, all right? You're right on everything you said and all that. But what's the cost? And we've had a lot of, our community is dying here. And I'm not like, oh, you're at fault, none of that. But there's a whole bunch of efforts into trying to go into rebuilding the community and everything. And the cost, like, what are we gonna get out of planting our hill on this hill and fighting this fight? I just don't see the cost being worth it. Again, you're 100% right. I'm telling you that right now.
That was what was the whole.
And like I said, I can't disagree with you, I can't, and I'm not going to on anything. I'm just saying, if we're still trying to be geared towards expanding and growing the community, some of these things we're just gonna have to.
You're just
three,
got it.
four
I
days.
got you. I
I
got you.
understand that, and remember that
Yes, ma'am.
conversation and a few more things that's gonna be
Yes, ma'am.
coming.
Yes, ma'am.
So
You're just reinforcing the bad behavior.
And
I wanna say something.
Go, let Mike.
As a
Gotta roll on
community,
'cause we're
just
gonna
as a
lose people.
community member, there's all different ways we could deal with this, but, another way would be like, I don't know that, to me, when you read this, it just all, like, it's kinda obvious. If the person knows they haven't paid their dues, then they know they haven't paid their dues. It doesn't, like, nobody even needs to take, well, if somebody's got a problem, if it says something, then they should know better. But, so it's just really like up to everybody, do we wanna take a vote on what everybody wants to do and move forward on that? Like,
Let the law, let the
how
lawyers.
should we do a vote and see what everybody wants to
We've
do?
gotta move fast.
Because
Yeah.
if we do a vote, we don't need somebody to regulate it. All that we need is just, somebody to say, I saw this person there, and we can check the cameras.
Right.
And so we,
Change the
Then I'll make my motion. I'll reiterate my
bylaws.
It
All
doesn't-
we can do is vote on changing the bylaws.
Right.
We can't vote on whether we're gonna let people, come in and out.
Yeah, right, this is just up for discussion on, I mean, that would be a bylaw change that would have to go on a ballot question, which we need to get to, and go from there, but, just a general consensus, where are people at? We do have to, we got to move.
Okay. I put forth a motion to let the lawyer interpret this and come back to us so we can make an informed decision.
All right, so there's a motion to put it to the lawyer. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Then this is dead and gone.
You'll second it? All right, so this could just be a raise of hand, we don't need a, so all in favor of putting it to the lawyer to interpret the language in the bylaws?
For this.
Making it understanding it's not gonna make it for next month now, because.
No, because we've got to decide that, yeah, we've got to decide that today.
You'll have to be the next POA meeting, you come back,
Which
it's
is July.
old business, and then, so that
Right.
would be in the fall.
All right, so all in
People know
favor?
that it's not gonna be in July,
All right,
but.
all in favor?
Is there a second to the motion?
There is a second. All in favor, raise your hand.
Motion got shot down.
All opposed? And looks like the opposed has it.
Spend
so-
money for our lawyer
for-
The lawyer's on retainer.
I'm gonna jump off here because I got somebody that needs to leave. This gentleman here wants to bring something to the floor, so give him an opportunity
ahead.
real quick before he has to leave.
My name's Casey Franks. I have work at 9, so I have to leave a bit early, sorry to interrupt. But I wanted to bring forth a new bylaw change for the next meeting, or the next couple meetings. Okay. I've heard a lot of people talk today about excluding people. It's been about 90% of the conversation about how to get people out. But how are we gonna get people caught up on their dues? Because the current interest rates, late fees are kind of outrageous and it's hard for people to catch up. I was hoping to maybe suggest something like a cap fee, like no more than 20% of your dues or no more than whatever. Because right now I owe, my sister owes $1,400, and I would like to get in good standing and pay the $340 that was actually road fees and assessments. But it's really hard when it keeps compounding and keeps going up. So I would really suggest something like that in the future. Like you said, this is a not dying community, it's a really big community, but it is shrinking. The amount of people actually living out here is getting smaller and smaller. I think if we address that, we might have people coming out here, grow this community.
I stay up there. I'm gonna try and kind of,
Sorry.
you're wanting to put forth a motion. Fortunately, due to the circumstance, you can't bring forth a motion at the moment. Let's try and clarify your thoughts a little bit. What exactly are you wanting to, if you could, what would?
It would be a motion that if someone wants to get caught up on their dues, they can just pay a standard rate, say they're less than 5 years behind, and they want to come in and pay everything and just pay
They start paying.
20% late fee and just cap it there instead of paying $1,000 in late fees. They just pay their $300 that they originally owed to the POA, and then $100 extra or whatever it's set in that meantime.
I'm just going to reiterate what I think you're saying, just so we're clear. You're wanting something like, all right, you're late on dues. blah, blah, however much, you're getting fined interest or whatever fees, you start getting into a payment program, those fees and interest are held off or waived unless.
No, sir. So I think like a lot of the other people that are behind on their dues or their POA stuff, the interest is really like setting them back. So
Yes,
they just
sir.
have a set fee. Like people would want to get caught up and then pay every month or pay every year like they're supposed to. But when they have that interest fees or they see that, their balance is only 300, they're still at 1,000, even if we get them on a payment plan, I feel like it's just not really like encouraging them to be part of this community.
I got you, one second.
So are you the property owner or is your?
I'm trying to be the property owner. We can't transfer a deed until I get the POA, so I paid the taxes off, which was a little bit. I'm trying to become a permanent member out here, be a resident one day. My sister owns the lot actually, so she's trying to give it to me, but it's a lot to work out. I don't want to just get it in my name and then be liable for POA stuff and get, it's gonna hurt my record. But I'm already trying to.
Before we open this to the public, can I talk to the board right quick?
Yeah, but we actually, because he's not, unfortunately, because he's not the property owner, we can't. Okay. We can't take a motion. My understanding of it was, he acquired the property from his sister already. So then he would have 30 days.
This is for a later, this needs to be for a later discussion, right? We really need to hammer this, but to my understanding, at the Oklahoma level, which supersedes us, if they start paying, then we can no longer charge them fines or anything.
But they still have to pay the interest they have.
Past due balance.
What, no, you still have to pay the interest that is incurred, you just wouldn't incur any more at that point while you're paying payments, is what he's saying. That old debt.
Fees and everything.
If I was a member and I quit on the motion, I need to limit that back then and say, hey, you're trying to get to good graces, you're trying to get caught up and pay going forward. Let's forgive some of the $1,000 late fees. Let's just make it 20%, so $200 or a flat fee for every year or something like that. I think that'd be really helpful to get people caught up and paying. That way we don't have to do this foreclosure process because I don't know if that's makes more money than actual people getting caught up and paying.
Who has an immediate disagreement with that?
We've already discussed it.
We'll take opinions here in a little bit, but just, we got two.
I've got a
I understand.
disagreement.
It's not a motion,
We've,
it's just not legal.
We've got to move
We're
on.
gonna lose the quorum for one, but also, we voted on this at every single POA meeting, and every single time it gets shot down, and also, if we shot that down before, and then somebody hears about that bought it at the last tax auction or something like that, they got every right to come in here.
If you're up to date on your dues and all that stuff, then you can make that motion to make a bylaw change. It would have to be a bylaw change, but, to put it forward in this meeting, you would have to get people here to agree to put it as a ballot question. And then in July, you would have to actually vote on it, and that's a
bylaws,
a super majority
75%
of the community voting to pass that bylaw change. So, and that can't be done.
Discussing new things.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
I apologize.
No, brother.
Yeah, no, we really.
You've got every right to come up and say.
So I want to be a part of this community. I want to pay all the past dues that I owe. I think it's like 300, almost 400. But right now the balance is almost 1,500, and I just can't afford that. Even if I get on a payment plan, that's $1,000. That I feel like it's unfair. I feel like 20%, like a cap fee, would be better.
Among this current board, you're not gonna find one person on here that's we.
Just right. So.
Well, yeah,
But
we.
we have to hold what the
So
rules are.
I get that
Bought a lot.
How we move on from here is you have no voting in the long or the short form. You have no voting rights or anything right now, to my understanding. Is that correct? And once that gets sorted out, you can bring forth a motion. If somebody will bring forth it on your behalf, we can do something. I don't know if that's going to happen or not tonight. It's looking like July. Is that correct?
You can get a friendly neighbor.
What were you saying earlier?
We can't, but you wanted to go to the attorney, that was what the deal was. Now, you're gonna fix, he would have to have somebody that has,
We didn't say to go to attorney, we're saying.
Yeah.
Because he can't bring.
that was the other one, that was what I.
Yeah.
It would be enough time.
I got
That
you.
one got
I got you.
another difference.
I'll just
Right now, there's not a lot we don't
Here's
have.
been heard, and that question has been brought up, like I said.
Well, I'll go ahead and get all y'all share it, but, maybe in the future, if y'all would like to talk about that, I think it'd be beneficial, because like, getting people foreclosed or getting them out, I feel like that's the worst case scenario, and I feel like it can't be profitable.
Yes, sir.
If there's a way to get all these people caught up, change the bylaws where like, hey, pay all your past dues and do 20% fee, I bet you get so much more money, so much more than what you're getting now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate your input. Appreciate
Don't
you
disagree.
standing out for- So, yeah,
Election. Becky, this is important, or we've got to move to the election?
I just want to make one comment. Whomever is going to be the treasurer the next go around for next year or whatever, or now even, your interest rate that he's speaking of is not correct. It's like way below the
Okay.
1.67%.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we need to move on. Nomination committee, we didn't get anybody for nomination committee. Election committee, I've got a couple volunteers for that. We'll shore that up. All right, so, yeah, I need three people for the election committee. I've got 2 so far. Still need one more, but.
Somebody raise your hand. Somebody in here.
We'll have to July to get that done. We'll just move on. So one of the bigger things that we have to do now, 2 board positions are up for nomination elections this year. So we're taking nominations at this meeting for future board positions. Does anybody they want to nominate for a board position?
To clarify, Casey and I's positions are
Up for nomination.
Ours are expiring.
And are you both willing to run again?
I am.
I unfortunately cannot. I just don't have the time. I enjoy helping because I've got the stores up front. I know a lot of people help. I don't have the time to do it, unfortunately.
Okay, well, just so that we're not going on the premise, oh, well, Brandon's always gonna be there, so that makes a big difference.
So I'll help the board any way I can. I just can't. I don't have the time to do it myself.
So Becky, that goes back to you, you're the only one with that fully experience sitting in this room.
It's not hard. I will help train whoever. It's not hard.
Does anybody, first off, does anybody want a nomination in here?
Are there any nominations for the 2 board positions?
I'm nominating you. Okay, not the nomination.
Melissa Rose said she wanted to be nominated, so.
Melissa Rowe?
That was through Keith, brought it up all ago.
Are
Do
there
we have
any
anybody besides Melissa Rowe? Sorry, I was talking to that guy before you left.
Not yet.
Are there any other nominations for the 2 board positions? Well,
You won't
yeah.
like me, that's fine.
Officially, I will renominate Casey Eastep.
Casey Eastep?
You accept, Casey?
Yes.
Becky, would you do it? No?
Are there any other nominations for the 2 open board positions? I gotta do this 3 times, so are there any other nominations for the 2 open board positions? Are there any other nominations for the 2 open board positions? All right, nominations are closed. We have 2 nominations, Melissa Rowe and Casey Eastep.
And we can also, there can be people that can come forward on the next one, or no, this is because of right now.
Yeah, the ballots have to be done and put together before election time. All right, so then the other thing, does anybody have any bylaw restriction changes or ballot questions they want to put on the ballot for July?
I'd like to remove the Airbnb restriction.
I'll second it.
Okay.
So we have a motion to remove the Airbnb restriction. That is the.
All right, so there's an open motion on the floor to remove the restriction on allowing Airbnbs in the harbor.
And there's a second on it too.
And there is a second.
What is the restriction?
You're not allowed.
Basically, if you weren't existing before 2022,
Whatever the deadline is.
It's in the restrictions.
I think it's
It will be a
2022.
restriction change, not.
Yes.
yeah.
That's what we said.
So basically, but it was voted, I believe it was 2022, don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But it was voted to not allow any future
Short-term rentals.
in the harbor. The ones that were here already and operating were grandfathered in.
And the whole,
And if
the
they
whole
sold
reason
it,
why we
then
voted for
they're
those
gonna
ones,
continue
or the whole
to
reason
do
why
it.
we voted to restrict them, was because of the one that was there was a troublemaking one, and we basically just gave them a monopoly.
All right,
So that's what happened.
And,
And
and,
they
and
never even gave the contract.
it's stipulated in the bylaw or in the restriction that if the current Airbnbs that are here now sell, they cannot be Airbnb. So the motion is to change that bylaw to
Just remove it.
not restrict Airbnbs, remove that amendment, basically, to the restriction.
Is everyone okay with the motion, the wording, remove, not allowing Airbnb restriction?
It's still short-term rental,
Right, short-term, it's,
because that's the way it's worded.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Removing short-term rentals.
so the motion is to remove short-term rental restriction from the restrictions.
Yes.
So all.
I second that.
And there is a second, so all in favor? We need to get a count.
How many people were at the boat ramp today?
So there's 18-4, all opposed.
It's 23. We got 23.
It's, all right, so that will not become a ballot question.
F you, Mike.
We will not remove the restrictions. Any other bylaws, restriction changes that somebody wants to put on as a ballot question?
No, let's go, Craig.
I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question, this is our old business. Over a year ago, we voted in to have the 4 POA meetings, but I've never seen the bylaws updated to reflect that.
Ooh.
Has that been done and
That-
filed with the state and the county?
I have not gotten, I have it written, I have not gotten it filed with the county.
Okay.
That is my fault, I dropped the ball on that.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that clarified.
Yes, that-
Because I even looked before I asked the question.
Right,
I
that,
didn't
that is
step
written,
on
I just,
toes.
I have not filed it with the county yet.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Becky, you have something?
I know it was contentious in the BOD meeting earlier about what a member is and what a member isn't, and what can be on the board and what cannot be on the board. Do you mind if I just want to, I don't want to.
Jump up there.
Question, I just want to read this that I wrote down about the ending of the POA.
Okay, okay.
So I'm going to turn this around so I can see everybody, if you don't mind.
No, you're not.
Okay, so in our Articles of Incorporation, it stated that we filed in September 5th of 1980 for 50 years, which expires September 5th, 2030. We are already 2025. We have just a little over 5 years. It does not state in our articles about renewal, how to renew. It just says it ends. There is an Oklahoma state statute that I just wanted to read and let everybody know, because I know there was some questions about the board was going to be able to just pass it and keep going and pretend we're still a POA. But that's not the case, and considering we've discussed, I know a lot of people weren't here for the POD meeting that was talking about what is a member, what isn't a member, that sort of type thing. A member is defined as, per bylaws 2.02, shall be defined as any owner of one or more lots, and each purchaser under a contract to purchase one or more lots in Lake Tenneco Harbor Division, and I condense the rest of that. Oklahoma State statutes, if anybody would like to go out and look at it, it's Title 18, Corporation, Section 1120. It starts on page, to save you a lot of reading, it starts on page 468, specifically letter J, on page 470, 471. It says, big long jargon, but I'm going to simplify it to mine. It said, the members of any corporation not for profit, which is what we are, having no capital stock, who are entitled to vote for the election of members of its governing body, shall perform all the acts necessary for the renewal or revival of the certificate of incorporation of the corporation. So I just wanted to put that out there, that we have 5 years to make a decision on whether we're going to try to vote to have this revived, or it's going to end, specifically September 5th, 2030. It states in our articles that we are to get rid of all of our assets, is to give it away if we haven't already sold or paid all of our deals off and everything, which means we have this lot, the whole part, the pool, the guard shack that we discussed a while ago out front. There's several lots that include that part area as well. It was bought up 2 years, I think, ago, or a year to 2 years ago. It was brought up stating that it's hard enough getting a quorum here, as you guys understood that. If you're, whenever you're going to get a vote on this, I mean, you're going to have it like a bylaw or a quorum, for a restriction, bylaw change, restriction change. So just kind of like, I had suggested to the board 2 years ago to get with a lawyer that understands the renewals and the legal or, jargon and everything that states this is what we need to do. I had brought this up and said, if we're not going to renew, we need to personally, my personal opinion is, tear this down, sell it, or sell it to somebody that's going to be able to use this, get the money from that. The pool is not in that great a shape. I know everybody likes that, whatever, that sort of type thing. Several of those lots out there, we can sell, we get money. There are not a whole lot of roads in here that are owned by the county. As Jack knows, he's been working on all of these gravel roads and stuff. Those are ours. So if we do not have a POA, we don't have any road funds, we don't have any county road that takes care of that, that's going to fall on the actual owners who live on that particular road. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up and state that we need to be aware of this, that it's going to be a member vote, and the member is the person who actually owns a lot in here. And it does not state in here that you have to be paid up on your dues. And if you're going to have to take a quorum, it's going to be a quorum of the full entire property ownership, not just because you paid a due, but of the ownership votes that are going to be available at that time. My understanding was there was 1,040 eligible votes for this particular meeting that we needed a quorum of 52. That does not incorporate that $300,000+ in late dues that people have not paid. We've only received approximately 50 to 60% of this year's dues. Last year's it was like 60 to 70%. The year before that it was like 80%. Every single year it's going down, going down, going down. Yes, we're getting back dues on some of the stuff. We're selling some of our lots and everything. But eventually, as Buck said, we're not going to be sustainable on this. Every single year, if it keeps going down, then we're not going to have what we need to have. And the restrictions on this place will have to be changed. If this no longer goes on, we'll have to have restrictions changed because it will need to take out everything that has to do with the POA. The restrictions like the dues, how much the road funds are, that sort of type thing. There is a clause in there that it states anybody can sue anybody in here. It's always been that way. And this is on your deed. This is not having to do with the POA. This is actually on the deed at the courthouse. It does not go away when the POA goes away. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure I brought all that up and try to make sure that we look at it, understand what we need to start focusing on. 5 years, I mean, I brought this up a year to 2 years ago, and nothing's been said, nothing's been done. What are we going to do in the next 5 years? Thank you. Appreciate it.
I really need to get 3 things out that are kind of important for your members to have a choice on. While that stuff's very important, this meeting I need to get these 3 questions I've got for you guys.
Okay.
As I said, there's $180,000 in the budget. There's 10,000 more in it right now than there was at this time last year. Some of the things that have been asked, it brings into the amount of money owed. There's one lot that one single guy somehow, all these boards never did anything about, every board until now. He owes $23,000. That is one that needs to be filed foreclosure on. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But the question is had, as Becky well knows, foreclosure is going to cost you $3,000 or $4,000.
6 or 7.
It's good. The receipt I saw last one was $3,000, the last one they did. But it can cost up to $6,000, and Mike's been actually looking at easier ways to do that. Regardless of the amount it's going to cost, when you have those lots, it needs to be done. But while we as a board we can make that decision without asking you. I'm asking you directly for your opinions understanding when we file a foreclosure, whatever it sells for at auction, everyone that has a debt against that gets to file it. Ideally, only we do. We would file it. It goes to $23,000 plus whatever the lawyer fees are, and then they would go, okay, it's sold for $3,000, and they will send us a check for $3,000, and that's it. So you potentially are just breaking even on the foreclosure on it. You're never getting those dues. When one's owed like that, Mike's already looked into it. Those are not civil cases. Those cost a lot of money to try to take a judgment that isn't just a foreclosure. They're going to cost money. Are you guys simply, and I have like two different things similar to this. Are you guys as a member okay with us spending potentially $3,000 to $6,000 just to be able to basically get that debt off our hands and get it into a new owner's hands so that it's not owed?
There's nobody that you, like, it could be turned over to collections and a collections attorney could not go after the state or this man or
No, he's
whatever.
dead.
He's dead.
He's
Okay.
dead. His kids don't. The kids we just saw, I think, just paid the taxes finally after 7 years, and they have not done a deed to put it in their name, so we can't go after them. But regardless, there are a lot of lots like these.
So
At the end of the day,
there's a lien on it already, right?
yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Of course, the liens. The reality is, the lien doesn't do anything until you file a warranty.
right.
So someone can sell it a lot with a lien on it, be a quick claim deed. That's why I said these aren't being sold. The reality is there's a couple lots owing over 10,000. They need foreclosures on them, but it's going to cost money. Anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000. Are you guys okay? I just need an answer of yes or no. Are you okay with the board spending that money to do that on those so that those debts go away?
I just got one thing to put into, and it's up to you guys. It's like, are you okay with that, or would you rather go after 2 or 3 people we can get some money off of for sure? Instead
We
of,
need to do all those. I don't think it needs
well,
to be a
yeah,
different
for sure.
grant,
So
it
we've
needs to
only
be all
got so much money, and I don't know. I'm the one that's volunteering the time to do it. You know what I mean?
Mom.
And if we chase this person around, and I'm just saying the option. I'm not saying against you or whatever. I'm just saying like, so on one option you can go after somebody who owes $10,000 and probably be in the whole $5,000 to $7,000 or something like that. And then, or we can go after 3 people where we're going to either get some of that money back, which we've got money back before, or we're going to get the property and be able to auction it off and then have a paying member.
Well, that's what the
It's going to be faster too.
I'm going to jump in here unless anybody, Will, Jack, okay. Just my view on it, it's worth going after in a few years. Right now, there's still enough money to go after that's cheaper, that doesn't cost anything. And there's still more fruit, low-hanging fruit on that tree. It's not like, oh, I'm willing to just give up all this other money or whatever, that $300,000. But I've been in debt collections before, and unless you have not, you have no idea how good people are about not paying you. They're very skilled.
And that's why at the end of the day, that's
And-
because people are so good at not paying you, that's where ones like those that owe over 10,000, reality is we're not gonna get that money. I'll be honest, if anyone wants to think you can, you're lying to
You're
yourself.
not,
You're lying to yourself. The reality is the only way to get that off our records is foreclosure.
go ahead, or
Does anybody look at the lots that are like the one you're talking about and see if there are usable lots? Because if it's not a usable lot and you're not gonna be able to sell it for,
Well, that's, when we do a foreclosure, we don't get that property in hand. When you do a foreclosure, after everything's said and done, the state puts it in a sheriff auction. The sheriff does a sheriff auction. By law, a sheriff auction, when a property is done sold of that, all debts to that property are now zero.
if somebody died, Brandon, I'm gonna ask you, if somebody dies and they owe whatever money, how long, if they still owe credit card debt, how long does that travel with them after death? Like if it's 15 years past the point, that credit card company's gonna get their money before we do, right? If it goes to auction, to my understanding, to my recollection.
No, because if the credit card companies can't file on a property because the property doesn't owe them debt, the person did. And being that guy's been dead for like 7 years.
Okay.
Any of that stuff with his family already been filed when it comes to.
Okay.
regulatory
To
debt.
answer your question on the, on how we're deciding, or basically on any of those lots, if we've got a lot that owes us a bunch of money, before I go to, court with that, I've been going back and looking at the title to see if it's gonna be a train wreck, but then also looking at the property too, and is it, like, does it have a trailer on it already? Because if it does, then that means it's got a septic, which might get more than like $1,000 at auction, you know, or something. But, and then we also just got the auctions to be a live auction versus a silent bid, so they can actually bid up. We can get more money that way too. But yeah, to answer your question, the thing we're wanting to do is go after these ones that have trailers on them, because they're a safety hazard with squatters, you know, catching the place on fire, or one of these keeping toms or whatever could be living in it, any of that stuff. But so I look at those before I take it, and then I personally try to go, like, if they're alive and I can find the person, that's the first thing I'm going to do, because it seems like we've had some results with that. And I've looked at those ones that are higher up. It's kind of like, wow, we're going to spend a bunch of money. Even the attorney said the same thing. It's like, and everybody agrees we're not going to get any money. And I think maybe down the road, after we've gone after some of these people that owe $3,000 or $4,000, and we have nothing else left to do, we can go after them. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
So, at this point, because we want to get moving on, and I've got 2 other questions, I need a simple yes or no. Do you want to suspend it on foreclosures or not?
No.
Okay. Everyone, raise your hand for a yes real quick.
Yes or no?
Hand for a yes.
Spend it on foreclosures? Raise your hand. Don't
Okay,
spend it
so
on
I
foreclosures.
understand basically any though 5,000 more are not going to get it. Okay, all right. So everyone understands that, and this is really good to know. Some of the people here always bring up how are you going to get the back dues paid. You guys are agreeing right now. Basically, any of the ones over $5,000,
Under 10,000.
under 10,000, we're not making an attempt outside of sending a letter because it's just going to be not worth the money. And
I
we're,
thought you were
okay,
talking about the $20,000 one.
I'm talking about anyone from like 10,000 and up because those are all ones that are special cases.
When you get up to 5,000,
Those
it
are
goes to
foreclosures.
like, I think $250 just to get the notice.
Yeah.
But if it's under 5,000, it's like $50. But that's just for the notice.
And those are ones we can get sales, but once it gets over 10,000, a lawyer has to do that, and that's where you get it.
Have we looked into getting a judge to file on the property as being a hazard to?
That's a whole other thing, and that's a different topic I have for you.
Okay, but
I different
that
top-
could maybe
different-
wipe some of this out. No?
No, in fact, not at all. Sorry, not actually to leave you off, but it's,
Yeah,
that's,
well-
I actually have literally another question for that.
Okay.
The other things, we were at the tax auctions, I caught the sheriffs, and Mike talked about this some earlier in the board meeting, but basically, our sheriffs look at our bylaws, because of the question of trespassing or not. Our bylaws say if you give a violation, like specifically ones like beat up trailers or just a dump station area in someone's lot. Basically, we can send a fine, we can send a warning after 15 days, we can send a fine. Once we've sent a fine, our bylaws say we can pay to have someone go clean it up. There's always a case they can argue for trespassing. Given, Mike said he thinks the lawyer's saying that they can't file trespassing. But the problem runs into is that the sheriffs disagree, and then the sheriff's gonna charge us with trespassing, and now we have to have our lawyer fight for us, which is gonna cost money. Yes, by our bylaws, we can then put that debt on the owner when they lose. The other one, as the sheriff said, is what you can do is you take a picture of the violation, you send your warning, we follow our procedures, you then file a case against them in court, which is $20 to $50 to file those. But then a judge will stamp it and go, yep, you showed us a picture, you showed us that you followed your process by your rules and regulations, which are zoning rules. Okay, the judge stamps and says, okay, now you're stamped clear to clean this up, and you cannot be filed with trespassing, given if you do that. Some of these to remove a trailer. It's gonna cost you like $2,000 or $3,000 to have an old beat up trailer hauled off. Everyone always talks about why aren't we cleaning this up? Well, here's your answer. It's gonna potentially cost $2,000 to $3,000, and if that member's already not paying dues, we're back into the case of either he's having to take them to court for owed money, or they're gonna owe over a certain amount. Now we're in an advance case. Given that, are you guys okay with your board spending $2,000 to $3,000 and the process is to start cleaning up lots forcefully? Just need to know if you guys are. If you have questions, you're more than welcome to ask questions. But that was an explanation from the sheriff on how we have to do it. The city actually has to. when you live in city limits, the city does the same thing. It's just it doesn't take time because they get to walk right over to the judge and say, stamp this, the judge stamps it, and they have the same paper trail we would.
We wouldn't refuse a scrapper to come in and just take them.
Right, yeah, by all means, if we can find someone that will
Yeah.
scrap it and clean
Okay,
them up, we would
because-
love it, but
because
there's,
that has happened here
yes,
recently.
yeah, but it's always that, can we find one that'll do it for basically $500? Great, if we can, but that's still $500. We're probably not gonna get back, or we're gonna have to take it to court to fight to get back.
Did you talk to more than one sheriff, or was it just one
I had two of them there together.
together?
Yeah, there was like
There was 2 or 3 of them all hanging out, and this is the ones for Cherokee County.
6 of them.
So these are the ones we're gonna answer to in these scenarios. Because I had that same question, I'm like, well, why, I'm like, zoning laws are the same and the equivalent of what the city does is what we do. Ours are filed with deed and zoning laws. Ours say we can do this, why can you file trespassing? And he just explained it. It's trespassing is a state law that supersedes, so you have to get the judge's signature to approve it. Now, Mike can clarify, he's talked to the lawyer, and he can get a double clarification on that.
Yeah.
But with that, we still ran a scenario of someone might call for trespassing, and we've got an argument with the sheriff because now our lawyer's gonna have to defend us, which is gonna cost us some money.
Well, the
Yeah,
lawyer
I ain't
also
willing to
did
go to
back
jail.
us up on that.
Yeah,
Just
which is
find
great.
out that I shouldn't have gone to jail, ain't gonna happen.
I move that we, go to the judge and get the property.
You have to do it on each property individually.
Right.
So it's one argument, and you guys okay with it?
I'm moving for that each property be taken to the judge and let him
If-
just,
okay.
rule on it so that
Okay,
we've
so
got
you're-
the legal standing to do whatever
Okay,
we need to
so
do.
your motion for that if we wish to clean these up, that we do it. And we understand, yes, ma'am.
Before we vote on that, if we were to go through the judge, and the judge said, yeah, you're right, you can go, you didn't have to do this process.
If they could tell us that once, but we would at least have paper from a judge saying that.
Yeah, so then if we can get that.
We can show any sheriff if they show up that.
I'm sure we wouldn't have to go do that every time.
Yeah, absolutely, and it may be worth just doing it once with the lawyer to get something stamped, but Mike might be able to get something written from a lawyer, so if we do it and they try to come out and charge us and we go, call the lawyer, here's the information, saying and proving otherwise.
The reason that come up, that a previous president posted a notice on somebody's property.
Just a warning.
It was just a warning.
Yeah.
And they called the sheriff, and the sheriff said, yeah, you could be charged with trespassing for going on their property, put that notice on there.
So it was the only reason no boards have done anything since.
They didn't
because
want
of
to
that.
push it, but if somebody decides they do want to push it, I'm not going to jail for that.
The attorney did say though, contrary to that, the attorney said that if you live here in your property, I mean, you're bound by the bylaws, and so you put up a no trespassing sign, you still gotta follow the bylaws, if that means that we gotta give you a notice.
But it doesn't mean the sheriff, well, I 100% agree, the
Yes,
lawyer's
yes.
correct, but it doesn't mean the sheriff agrees, and that means if you're willing to go do that, if the sheriff comes out, he's hauling you to jail. Yes, technically, so everyone knows by the bylaws, if you have to go to jail for that,
I'm willing to
the
thank-
board can pay to get you out, but that's a whole
Technically, you can pay the $25 or $35 and have it served.
We've already crossed this Rubicon, and I'm willing to,
If the sheriff's department is serving, then the paperwork.
Yeah, this is all about proper process service.
Yeah.
Yes,
As long as
that's what
you
it-
do that, you don't have to go on
Yeah.
anybody's property.
Yeah.
It may be just putting a notice in the legal paper in
Yeah.
the local area,
So-
if that person's not willing to take your conversation.
I am willing, I'm already on the board or committee or whatever to do this, I've already accepted this. I have the lawyers already, that's good enough for me to stand in front of a sheriff and argue. And at worst case scenario, I'll throw a paper airplane
But
towards their way.
So from there, even if the board's willing to do it without potentially the trespassing, that means you guys are okay, we're potentially spending $2 or $3 grand to clean properties up, and we may have a fight to get that money back. While we can put that money on the owner, we just knowing, you guys knowing, we're cleaning properties up, that we may be incurring a debt, we're gonna have to fight to get back. Is everyone okay with that?
So I assume this would be a step, you do a few of them, so you could run some test cases to see
Right,
how it runs.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, I mean,
Some of these plane crashes are well worth it.
Right, that's what I said, but we tried to do this up 3 meetings, and we haven't had a quorum to do it. So that's why I got a quorum, I need an answer.
Yeah, I made the motion to do it.
Hey, there's not even a motion, it's just a, are you okay with me doing this?
Yes.
Everybody okay?
Okay.
Anybody opposed to doing it?
All right,
Okay.
I appreciate it, thank you. The only other thing I'd have is it's on his thing, it's about roads. The reality is we have all the roads issues, ditches. He said it, everyone said it, everyone's agreed to it. I'm at the point of, we either need to buy a backhoe so that guys can be out here and just dig them out. While the tin horns, we're gonna start sending fines and dealing with elders on tin horns. I'm at the point until we fix the ditches, we're wasting our money on fixing the roads. I think it'd be worth it to take some money potentially from the general fund to either ask a company what they would charge us to just dig all the ditches out deeper and clean all the ditches, or equipment. Does anyone have a thought on that?
My thought is to research a wet lease on a piece of equipment first. Secondary, look at buying a used piece, whether it's a Mini X or a backhoe or whatnot. And I don't know what my third option would be.
Yeah. So that's
They had a road grader years ago and nobody ever used it.
we don't have it, so that's one thing now, so it's like,
We're talking about excavator too, right?
yeah, that's why, so I would do something as a backhoe and excavator, so you can just, if you're gonna buy equipment, it needs to do both.
Yeah.
So you can work on roads all the time instead of paying rent on them.
I'm gonna jump in here.
Otherwise, it's paying a company to come out and do it, how much
So
does it cost?
I've ran heavy equipment. The only thing is if we decide to buy this or whatever, the caveat is we also need to develop some sort of maintenance schedule or whatnot and have the budget for that.
Yeah, but that's.
Doesn't the
Like,
county
like
put
that
each
too,
in?
like, okay, so we've got 5 years to figure out basically, are we wanting to spend that much money? Because those things are not cheap. I mean, let's just say.
You can get some ones that aren't,
You can get a Mini X for about $8,000.
No, you
you
can't.
get a Mini X that has
So-
backhoe on it for
But
$8,000.
then you said first maybe talking to somebody that could do it. So
That's what I said, that's always an
that should
option.
be part of the option. You have to see what it takes. Jack probably doesn't want to spend all his days working.
No, but I know multiple members that have talked to me about stuff before, and they're like, if we had it, I'd volunteer weekends to come dig out ditches down a couple roads. So we have members that would, willing to come and help dig out ditches, if we had the equipment.
But at that point, then you can get that many members on to working on it. At least
Yeah,
just
but
get it
even
done.
then, you're getting into round one, you can do so much work in 1 or 2 days, and then you gotta continue to reset.
So, could we just bring this to, like, move this to old business for next meeting and bring some more, like, numbers and, some ideas to it so that we can shut the dark? Or we
I just think we get approval, because I don't want anyone to waste their time looking for numbers, if the members aren't okay with it. Are the members okay with at least looking into it and getting numbers? If that's something you think would be a good decision. Okay.
I think so.
We're gonna have to be taking care of our roads anyway, so we better get them in good shape.
Yeah, exactly.
Over the years, since, I think, probably since William and myself, we've spent enough in rentals at the bottom, the track though, easily.
Just
Just
in-
$1,000 every time I bring one piece of equipment out there, $1,000.
And that's only a couple times a year.
Who's gonna be responsible for a fiber optic kit?
Well, it'd be the same standard.
Before you dig.
No, no.
Before you dig.
What Mike brought up, this needs to be old business, this needs to be well thought out, what you're bringing, all of those.
Plan out where you're gonna do it.
You need to think about, I am all about forming some sort of communal.
As long as they come out and mark that stuff, break something after they've marked it, and you're digging within the boundaries they give you, it's not on you.
So we're moving that to
Yes.
table that? Okay. Okay, I've got one thing here, this is the, sign that we'll be putting up in the front. This is the one that one.
I don't like it.
Anybody got anything else? Valid question?
I do have just one more question. So, it's great job, you guys are doing a good job, they're making, so a lot of these issues, Brandon, it's not on, you know that. This has been going on for 5 years now. So, we talked about the ones that are just, they're chronically late, they're 1, 2, 3 years behind. Now, the thing about it is not to wait till they get the $10,000+ is to get them in those first few years and try to get them paid up.
here's my elegant outside the box solution. We create a community so badass, sorry people, that everybody wants to be so much a part of, whether it's fireworks shows, my big things. I want to hold poker games here so bad I can't stand it. But we start doing things that like people want to, no, you're late on your dues. F off. This is for us. You start developing that community to where you can publicly shame, not in a nasty way, but like, no, go pay your dues. I'm gonna go play poker. I'm gonna go watch the fireworks. I'm gonna go to the grill out or whatever it is. Go ahead, sorry.
We were just talking about how we were gonna let people bypass the bylaws to come in here. Yes, it seems like a real simple thing, but they talk about, we're not gonna go to the barbecue, oh my God.
So what this really boils down to, and like you said, is, yes, you can get these ones of 2 or 3, 4 years, it's an extraordinary amount. The biggest flaw is there's no one in that office. Now, I'll agree that the math numbers don't add up for us to be able to pay someone. But the reality is, 5 board members that all work full-time jobs that cannot do it all. Mike is running himself up and down trying to file stuff against people, and he's doing a great job. He's got phone calls, I'm taking phone calls, I'm just getting people paid dues. He's dealing with roads, he's doing security, he's dealing with pool, and we all still have our own lives, and we don't get paid. So that's the side of it is.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah, I know. But so if there's not someone sitting in that office, because and it's worth it. There's an open debate there on what Mike's asked earlier, paying someone even if they're not in the office all the time, if they're working 20 hours a week. But it's what are you gonna pay? Because I'm like $10 an hour would be over minimum wage.
In order to do that, having an employee, you're gonna have to be filing all the taxes, you're gonna have to.
Right, I know. It's what I'm trying to get at. Well, you can do a 1099.
They're employees.
They're employees.
Yeah, it's a very,
We can't do a contractor for that, though? Okay.
It's a
You can
very,
do through manpower or something like that.
it's a very slippery slope for a business owner. Basically, once you pay someone over $10,000,
It's $3,000, I believe.
yeah, I think it's actually $3,000, but it's like for the whole year, it's like, you can usually not get away with, if you're under $10,000 and what they're getting paid, you can kind of get away with, I may not nitpick you. Once you get over 10,000, they go from maybe won't nitpick you, they're gonna nitpick you. Because then they're gonna wanna know, do you have work comp? Have you been paid? Not only because it's not about their taxes, because they're gonna pay their taxes.
I just wasn't clear.
Your taxes.
I just wasn't clear why we couldn't have a general contractor secretary.
It's not a general basically it's not. That's your, when you talk about general contractors, it's.
Well, yeah, not general contractor, not the right word.
No.
But independent contractor.
Yeah,
Independent.
no, independent contractor is just that, what are you gonna pay him, you gonna pay him under a certain amount, and
$20,000 a year.
20,000 a year is gonna be excess, if you're gonna do 20,000 a year, paying $10 an hour, $20 a week, it's $10,920. Plus the taxes and back then you're 20,000 paid a week. Legally, you'd be paying 20,000.
I just don't.
Has any of our meetings been filed all those liens that year? Great, because that got a lot of the back dues
Mike's
because
still
of the
living in the
liens.
courthouse because
He spends the exorbitant amount of his time out of that courthouse.
All right, I don't mean to be rude, but we're getting a little into the weeds. I want to drink beer. It's the weekend. What else do we have to do? What important stuff, ladies and gentlemen? If not, let's start wrapping this up.
So does anybody want to talk about that? About whether or not we should have somebody at the office or not? Because I just don't know, and I wasn't clear on it, like on this. So if you can have an independent contractor that can handle that.
Big question. I would say, asking the lawyer, that's actually a really good thing, ask the lawyer. Can you do it as a 1099 employee? It's under 20,000.
The other follow-up question to the lawyer. One sec. The other follow-up question to the lawyer. Sorry, Mike. I know. I'm sorry, man.
My point wasn't made,
All right, go ahead, sorry.
So an independent contractor, it wasn't for under 20,000, it was for 28. I think that's, or what do we pay the security? It'd be the same as that, and whatever that is, and that's an independent contractor position too, right? And right. Oh, okay. So they'd have to do it. So we wouldn't, so we could work out this. I'm just asking the questions because I don't know, but so this is something that they wouldn't have to necessarily set in the office. A lot of the stuff that we need done is stuff that needs to be done on Appfolio or those court cases and stuff like that. It would really help expedite things. All the stuff that we're wanting to get done that we're having to do pro bono, they could be doing it. They could also be doing the pool part of the day. Yeah, that's true, yeah.
But if you're just talking about doing an independent contractor that's helping file stuff for the courthouse, that's a valid thing to do, that would be an independent contractor.
Why can't it be a paid volunteer through the social club? How? The social club has nothing to do with us. Sorry. No, okay. I just didn't know.
They actually had it employed, we'd almost be better paying a temp agency to get someone that could just sit there and go, here's a login, you can sit them in the office actually, here's a login Appfolio, here's the list, you just need to go through here, here's the paperwork you need to fill out, because then they can just hand you all the paperwork filled out, and then you can just go file it.
Okay, I'll look into that for next meeting.
Yeah,
All right, so motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Thank you all.